Hey, welcome back to the channel. So a question I get asked a lot is, how do I become a CTI analyst? I've been a CTI analyst for quite a few years now, and I can share some hints and tips on how you can break into the industry and excel in your career. But before we get started, we first need to understand what a CTI analyst actually does. What do they do on a day-to-day basis? Do they just share IOCs, read reports, analyze malware? Do they support operational teams? Or do they just have an ear to the business's needs and guide strategic decisions? A CTI analyst can do all of these things, and more, but their main role and responsibility is to reduce risk for the business. This is all that they need to do. Now, this can take many forms, but it ultimately boils down to answering the who, why, and what to provide the business with actionable intelligence that can help inform key decisions. These could be strategic decisions, like where the business should go in the next 5 years to ensure that it is safe from cyber threats, maybe adopting a policy change or a new technology. It could also be operational or tactical intelligence that support the operational team's investigations. You could deliver an intelligence report on a new malware strain to help the malware analysis team know what to look for. Or you could help the Security Operations Center by enriching their indicators with intelligence about a threat actor, malware strain, ransomware variant, or anything else that helps them complete a more thorough and faster investigation. And finally, another key area of responsibility for the CTI team is making everyone's life a little bit easier by filling those information gaps with intelligence that can help teams get by better. In the security operations arena, this might look like enriching indicators of compromise or providing specific TTPs a malware strain or ransomware actor uses. It could also look like reducing false positives by better mapping out the environment and the risks within it. Or it could look like proactively finding evil in the environment. So now we know the key responsibilities of the CTI team and how they can help a business. Let's take a look at the day-to-day tasks that you'll be doing as a CTI analyst. I've broken these down into 3 main areas. First, we have filling RFIs, or requests for information requests, that are linked to your intelligence requirements. Intelligence requirements are what drive a CTI team. They are the formal documentation of what intelligence needs to be delivered to the business to ensure that the CTI team's work aligns with business objectives. Now, RFIs, or requests for information, are how those intelligence requirements get fulfilled. You break an intelligent requirement down into achievable tasks known as RFIs. These are mapped out in your CTI collection plan, and they allow the CTI team to perform their daily work and deliver tasks on a timely basis. Now, what could an RFI look like that's linked to an intelligence requirement? Well, you could have reviewing intelligence feeds as one. So this could be in your threat intelligence platform, something like MISP, OpenCTI, or Recorded Future, or in your CTI aggregator that is aggregating all the open source intelligence into one platform for you to review on a daily basis. Reviewing intelligence feeds is vital for staying up to date with the latest threats and goings on in the cybersecurity industry. Now, reviewing intelligence feeds might be one RFI, and another supporting RFI linked to the same intelligence requirement could be triaging those things to take action on and alert the relevant teams. If you see a CVE in the news and you're not sure if it affects your business, you would need to triage that. So you take that data from your CTI aggregator, search in your environment to see if you're impacted by that CVE, and then take action by alerting the relevant teams. Now, a day-to-day task a little closer to home for the CTI team could be updating threat actor profiles or threat actor tracking, however your team does it, where you're seeing what's happening in the news, and if threat actors you're tracking are popping up, then you could take that data and update it in a threat actor profile to keep track of what malware that threat actor is using, what TTPs are exhibiting, and any changes you've seen in their behaviour. And then as a final example, a day-to-day task might be working on strategic reports for the wider business. Executives don't want to get bogged down in the day-to-day IOCs or TCPs. They want a high-level overview of what's happening. A key skill for a CTI analyst is generating these strategic reports to inform the broader business about the threat landscape. Okay, so what about the next group of day-to-day tasks you might do as a CTI analyst? Well, I've labelled these fill in ad hoc RFIs. So these are requests for information that come up on an ad hoc basis. You will often be dragged into investigations where another team will submit an RFI that you must fulfill. So this could be the malware analysis team asking you to research a malware strain and gather intelligence about it so they know how to better analyze it. It could be the vulnerability team asking you to look into a CVE to find intelligence about it and if it's exploitable in your environment. Or it could be the security operations team asking you to gather intelligence to help inform their threat hunting activities. These RFIs will pop up daily for you, and they are fires that you must put out. And then finally, we have continuous development. So this could be things like learning, maybe learning a new tool, software, framework, or anything else that will help you develop as a CTI analyst and be better at your job. Then we have threat intelligence platform or process maintenance. If you're using a TIP, you'll need to maintain it to make sure it doesn't become an unwieldy mess. Now, this maintenance will be more if you're using a free or open source version like OpenCTI or MISP. But if you're using a commercial platform like Recorded Future, you'll still need to tune what intelligence you want displayed in the platform. Then finally, we have tool and feed management. So you might develop custom tools for your CTI team to use or other teams to use. You'll need to maintain those tools and make sure they're working appropriately and importantly don't have any vulnerabilities. You'll also need to manage your intelligence feeds. You'll need to make sure that they're not giving you just a bunch of false positives or irrelevant intelligence. Feed management is a key component for any CTI team and you need to stay on top of that. So what skills do you need as a CTI analyst to fulfill these day-to-day requirements and ensure that you're proactively reducing the risk of your business? Well, you can break this down into technical skills, analytical skills, and soft skills. Let's start with technical skills. This includes networking skills, so things like the TCP IP stack and understanding how the DNS system works and the internet at large. You need to know about operating systems, so things like Linux, Mac and Windows. You need to have good IT troubleshooting skills. You need to know how to resolve problems on computers and investigate. And also, I think a key skill to have is programming and scripting. If you can understand how programs work, how TTPs are executed on a system, or how malware operates, then you're in a lot better position to inform the wider business about what's happening and provide the operational teams with key indicators about how to detect this malware. It is also an accelerator for your processes. If you can automate things in a script, it will save you countless hours in the future. Now, once you have all those in place, you're in a good position to land a role in a SOC or a security operations center. Here, you can learn the security fundamentals. On the blue side of things, you have SOC investigations, so triaging and alerting, monitoring, tracking down threats, and root cause analysis. You also have malware analysis as you develop your career. Then on the red side of things, so this is the attacking part, you must understand how threat actors work and how they attack systems. So you must understand things like the MITRE ATT&CK framework and tactics, techniques and procedures, and the general way an attack happens. So if you can take both the blue team and red team side of things in security, you're in a much better position to become a CTI analyst. You can understand the full stack from the initial attack to how it's defended against to evasion techniques that could be used. Once you have the technical skills down and a good fundamental base to work from, you can begin focusing on your analytical skills. You must have strong critical thinking skills, pattern recognition, data analysis, be well versed in structured analytical techniques that can help you analyze data, know how to avoid biases, and a key skill is the ability to present your findings. Now, let's move on to the soft skills you'll need. These are often overlooked in technical jobs, but these are really what set you apart, especially when you're trying to progress your career and move into a management position. So we have communication. You must be a great communicator to work in CTI because you're often the linchpin between the technical and the executives who must know what is happening in their environment and the key business decisions they must take to reduce that risk. We also have report writing. You will write a lot of reports as a CTI analyst, and being able to master this skill and become efficient at it is vital. It might sound easy now just writing a report, but you must learn to tailor your reports to the audience you're targeting with your intelligence. Then we have collaboration and emotional intelligence skills. Emotional intelligence is often overlooked in the IT industry and cybersecurity at large. Having this EQ and being able to collaborate with others to a common objective is vital for any business. And then finally, you must be able to adapt to new circumstances and have a strong drive for continuous learning. Cybersecurity is all about adapting. Defenders must adapt to new attacks, attackers must adapt to new defenses, and you must be able to adapt to new scenarios, new intelligence requirements, new RFIs, and new ways of working so that you can better protect the business and inform business decisions. This adaptability requires you to be continuously learning and improving your craft. So how can you go about learning these skills? Well, to get the fundamentals down, you can take basic IT and cybersecurity courses or certifications, or seek something like a university degree, just so you have a strong foundation in things like networking, operating systems, and the security fundamentals. Once you get those down, you can move on to acquiring those CTI specific skills. So you could take a CTI cert to understand things like the threat intelligence lifecycle, how indicators are used, and how to write a CTI report. But perhaps more importantly than these basic skills is gaining experience in a real world environment. How do you do this? You can get a security operations center job and see what actually happens in a business environment and how businesses defend against real world attacks. Experience conquers all, and you should definitely get experience in a security operations center before trying to become a CTI analyst. Now, while you're getting this experience, I highly recommend trying to consume as much content and apply the skills you're learning. How do you apply these skills? Well, you can apply them in the real world to boost your business's resilience, or you can use online platforms like TryHackMe or Hack the Box. These are great for learning hands-on skills and developing your core skill set of investigating cybersecurity incidents and performing OSINT investigations. Now, how else can you learn the more niche skills? So something like conducting an OSINT investigation specifically about people of interest. Well, you could take a CTI cert, but these can tend to be quite broad and won't dive into specific details. They just don't have the time to do that. Now, a great place to find these specific skills is platforms like YouTube or online blog articles. These tend to deep dive into specific topics that you might be interested in. The key is taking this knowledge and then applying it to the real world. Now finally, if you want to become a true CTI analyst, you need to immerse yourself in that world. And a great way to do this is reading threat reports. You can do this in two ways. You can focus on threat reports that are highly technical, something like a deep dive malware analysis. These help develop your technical skills as you see how malware works in the real world. But if you want to go a step further, you can focus on strategic reports. These give you a better understanding of what's happening in the threat landscape, what trends we're seeing, what ransomware actors are emerging, and what threat actors are up to at the nation state level. I highly recommend reading technical reports and strategic reports. For the technical stuff, check out the DFIR report. For the strategic one, follow the major CTI vendors like CrowdStrike, Cybal, Unit 42. These will provide you with strategic reports either once a month or once a quarter. Just be sure to keep up to date. Now, all this is great, but knowing these platforms and what you should be doing is one thing. If you're just passively consuming content like this video, you're doing yourself a disservice. To become a CTI analyst, you must engage in deliberate practice. You must take what you're learning here today, or what you're learning in your CTI course, or what you're learning on Hack the Box, Try Hack Me, YouTube, blog articles, those threat reports you're reading, and you must apply it in the real world. This could look like doing investigations in your SOC role, writing reports, perhaps in your spare time, on what skills you've been learning. If you can take something highly technical and put it in layman's terms that an executive would understand, you're halfway there to becoming a great CTI analyst. Think of it this way. If you want to learn a language, you must immerse yourself in the culture. And it's the same for becoming a CTI analyst. You must immerse yourself in the world of threat actors, ransomware, malware strains, and you must have your finger on the pulse of the threat landscape. If you do this, read threat reports daily, and try and engage in deliberate practice to improve your skills, you're well on your way to becoming a CTI analyst. Now, having the skills is one thing, but in today's job market, you must prove that you have these skills and prove that you'll be a good fit at organizations. So how can you do this? Well, you can build projects, you can start a GitHub repo, and maybe build a script that does some of those CTI skills you learn. Maybe it takes an indicator, enriches it, and delivers it to a platform that a security operations center can use. Demonstrating these skills in a GitHub project is a great way to show that you have the ability to improve an organization's efficiency and operational processes. You could also think outside the box and perhaps build a web app that helps a security operations team better understand a threat. You could implement something like the analysis of competing hypotheses technique within a web app to help other CTI analysts be more comprehensive in their structured analytical process. But there's other ways you can also demonstrate your skills. I find a great way is creating content. This could be blog articles, YouTube videos, or social posts on things like X and LinkedIn. This goes back to that skill of translating technical findings for a non-technical audience. If you can explain to a non-technical audience under a constrained format about a topic that you've learned or what's going on in the world of cyber, then this will greatly improve your communication skills, and it will show people that you know what you're talking about. Now, another more common way of demonstrating skills is things like certifications, and these will often be listed on job descriptions, but it's important to remember that these don't necessarily qualify you for a job. They help you pass that HR barrier and perhaps get that job interview, or when it comes time to trying to differentiate yourself on your CV. Now, perhaps the greatest skill prover is work experience. Now, if you have a real world job where you can prove that you've applied the skills a certain position is looking for, this is the gold standard. This is what you can talk about in your interviews, and this is what you can use to push your career forward. Now, getting this work experience can be difficult. Often, to land a CTI role, you'll need to do the work first, go out, find the skills, apply them to your current role, to showcase that you have the ability to jump straight into that CTI role and hit the ground running. That's what any employer wants at the end of the day. Now, projects, content, certifications, and work experience are all great, but the real game changer for most people is networking. If you can go out there, shake 100 hands, you're probably going to find one person who's willing to give you a chance at getting a job. Networking is huge in any industry, and cybersecurity is no exception. How can you do networking? Well, you can go to big cybersecurity conferences or local meetups within your area. Or you can jump on LinkedIn, create a good profile, and start connecting with people there. If you can get on LinkedIn or X and deliver high quality content that resonates with people, this is a great way to make new connections and widen your network. So Those are the ways that you can prove your skills, but what does a typical career path look like? The one I've seen most common is where someone will start out in an IT role or at a university level, and then from there they'll get a job in the Security Operations Center. In the SOC, you can then work on your skills and build yourself up. Once you get past that SOC level 1, there's multiple paths you can take. You can jump on the offensive side and become perhaps a penetration tester, or you can stick on that blue team role and become a more advanced practitioner, something like a malware analyst, a DFIR expert. Or you could perhaps jump into a management role and become a SOC manager, where you've got less of the technical skills, but more of those soft skills that drive the business forward. CTI Analyst work is one of those advanced blue team roles. So after gaining an entry-level role in a Security Operations Center, you can then work your way up to a CTI Analyst role. This is how most people do it, but there is multiple ways to become a CTI Analyst. At the end of the day, you must become the hero of your own story. If you want to be a CTI Analyst, you must be willing to do the work, learn the skills, and put in the time that is required to fulfill this challenge. There is only one way to achieve this. It's not by getting a single CTI certification or writing a blog every week. You must be willing to put in the time and effort to do everything I've discussed. You must learn the skills, create content that shows these skills. You must network with people so you're in a position to land that CTI role when it comes up. You must be willing to get that junior SOC role and prove yourself in the cybersecurity world to gain that hands-on experience in a real corporate network. Doing the work is the only thing that's going to land you that CTI role, and it will be hard, but I think you can do it. Good luck, and I'll catch you in the next one.